getting all fancy.
I know. Isn't it awesome? I just created
2022. We are doing
Is it 2022 or are we still in 2019? I can't tell.
They're all pushing together. I kid you not. I was trying to get my taxes organized over the weekend. Shut up. And shut up. And I'm like, oh shit, 2021. Am I doing taxes for 2021? Because I started looking at 2020 and things that I did, and I'm like, oh, I have no idea where I am anymore. But guys, welcome to Environmental Social Justice. This is the first episode of 2022. And we're here just to talk to you, recap, and discuss future plans, things we're looking forward to. So Miss Joy, kick it off for us.
So yeah, we're out of 2021. We're still trying to see what's going on with 2022. We
have that Biden thing. We have the Build Back Better plan, and you're a public policy expert.
Well, we're still kind of waiting to see how this is going to play out for the environmental field. I can't say that I'm too encouraged by it. Between the Great Resignation and everybody trying to find themselves in 2022, as well as the portion that environmental is playing in politics right now, which is almost zero zilch as we try to continue to get the Omicron virus under control. I think one of our major goals this year with environmental social justice is and should be to keep environmental in the forefront. With all of these sideshows going on right now, when it gets back down to it, to ground zero, we are going to have some real environmental challenges that we've always had. That are going to worsen possibly. More oil spills, more regulatory issues.
Mining. I mean, think about all the electric batteries we now have to build. That does not magically happen. That's a ton of mining. And as far as I am aware, and I could be wrong, folks, I do believe that all mining is still done with heavy diesel trucks. It's not very green right now.
Well, the part about the Build Back thing, which I just don't understand, is I'm not going to mention a certain West Virginia senator who is kind of torpedoing this whole thing along with somebody from Arizona. The part that I find really freaking frustrating is that the actual coal miners union said, please vote for this. There's actually stuff in here that helps us as coal miners move forward. There's stuff in there to protect them for health, for black lung. I mean, all these things that have been set up over the past few years to help them live as well as move forward as these industries start going away. Certain people are saying, no, I'm not voting for it because it costs too much money. The reality is we've never spent money like this before. We've ignored it. And now look at what we're doing. So we can't just say, oh, here, have a small French fry and call it a day. Like, here's a coupon for your next car. It's not going to work that way. And so if we don't start investing in these things now, which is already too late, we're just screwed.
Can I ask a question that Joy, you may know more about this than I do? I recently came across an article that the California Public Utility Commission, which handles rates for electricity companies, et cetera, they've passed or requested that we pass a law that now removes all of the incentives to buy electric cars. So remember the rebates that people would get for electric cars? So now they're removing that rebate, and that will kill people's ability to get a non-petroleum powered car. Or am I wrong on this? Did I completely misread this? I mean, it was a snippet. I'll be honest, I didn't read the whole thing. But
they are reducing the some of the credits regarding energy efficient cars because they're trying to roll that money into infrastructure. So it's kind of infrastructure for electric vehicles. So
that's stupid.
It is stupid, but you have to realize our state is in disarray right now, and hopefully it's temporary. With all of the money that we're going to be spending on testing, even though most of it's a federal program, the fact that even the Capitol has moved out of the Capitol building to do some major reconstruction. Right now, we're only allowed to introduce, I believe, 12 bills for this legislative year. And it used to be that you could introduce 50 or 60 per legislative person, per assembly person, per Senate. but due to the fact that we're trying to, you know, condense a lot of things at one time and trying to, I guess, in an attempt to set priorities, it's a really difficult time right now, or challenging time to legislate and just legislate a lot of stuff like we used to.
Now, would the subsidies be, are those, there's talk about this, I'm gathering just now, about removing the subsidy for the electric car on a state level. Does that also play into the fact that the vast majority of auto manufacturers are saying we're transferring over to electric within the next 5 to 10 years? So is this subsidy going away as all these new vehicles are coming out? Because they are coming out and they're starting to get quote unquote affordable.
Not
But
really.
you know, is that the train of thought behind it?
That's a good question. I haven't really read up on that, but it would make sense. As an economist, that would completely make sense. That
I would imagine that plays a
you're
lot.
putting all of the weight back on the car companies to sell it as sexy, to incentivize the consumer to buy their car. That would make 100% sense.
Yeah, because what Hyundai has the Ioniq 5 coming out, Kia's got the EV6, Volkswagen obviously has the ID4. They're about to have the bus coming soon. Like if you're reading up on this stuff, like Fisker, I think should be coming out next year.
And I saw a brand new Rivian on Saturday. Somebody must work for the company.
Yeah,
But I saw one in the marina.
they're
And
good
it's hot and sexy, just like they've been showing it on the commercials. So
yeah, I've been reading a lot about that. And then I think, you know, the Bolt EUV is coming back with the better batteries that hopefully won't be catching on fire.
Gates is backing that.
Yeah,
Gates is backing that. Yeah.
Nissan's got their Aria coming out. They're still doing the Leaf. I mean, I think as we start seeing this transfer over, I can see that's why the subsidy would go away, is when you primarily have the vast majority of manufacturers going electric. That's when the subsidy will go away, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
but people still need incentives. I'm sorry.
But if that's all that's available,
And when 2035 ends up showing up where we're supposed to be net zero, where are the chips going to fall? If there's no incentives going on, with the financial issues that we're having right now as a state, as well as a federal, our federal government, where are those chips going to fall? Those are things that we really need to think about if we are actually going to get to a 2035 or 2040 net zero.
well, let's hope that in the next 7 to 8 years, the technology improves and the manufacturing improves, that it starts bringing the cost down on these things. Not that I anticipate they'll really be turned passed along to the consumer, because we all know that's not normally what happens. But I'm imagining that hopefully that's what will happen. Fingers crossed, not holding my breath.
I mean, we have come a long way since the very first electric vehicles that modern day. I mean, electric vehicles came out in the 20s, but they got killed pretty quick.
And right now, your new electric vehicles are, you know, they're over $100,000 because they're mostly done by these startups who they have to do the high-end luxury cars, so that way they can actually get the profit margins coming in, so that way they can then go on to develop the entry price point. Not that I think all of them will do a quote-unquote entry price point, but I think that's kind of the mentality. It's like, let's get the name out there, show that we're doing a quality product, then we can start bringing it down to the masses.
What about the charging infrastructure? You get all these sexy vehicles like Cadillac and, you know, Audi, all of these. What about the infrastructure? It only looks good when it's sitting in your yard. And then when you get halfway down the freeway, down to Orange County or to Palm Springs.
It's so funny.
That's why they need the range to be better.
Well, as I was saying that, I'm like going, this is all trickle down. I'm like, we all know how well trickle down works. Just gonna say.
Just say it.
It doesn't.
Yeah, word.
Real quick question, like because we're now talking about electric vehicles and getting people on board. Did you guys see the movie Don't Look Up?
It was hysterical.
I'm sure you've heard about it.
It's brilliant.
I'm looking it up. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah.
So this was a movie released on Netflix or something. Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, basically Meryl Streep, who's a goddess. Everything she does is perfection. I mean, think about all the characters she's played. She's a goddess. She-Devil, but Carrie, my friend Carrie's like funniest movie of the year. Now, the first 40 minutes for me were rough to get through. I thought it was a little stupid, but then it clicked for me and I got it. And basically, for Joy's reference, it's all about a meteorite that's going to just destroy the Earth. And the scientists are saying, hey, meteor's going to destroy the Earth. Meryl Streep is the president of the United States, thinly veiled of a Trump person, saying, don't look up, it's not happening, it's all fake. And guess what? The world comes to an end. A meteor hits the Earth. So
The feel-good comedy of the year.
I'm sorry?
The feel-good comedy of the year.
The feel-good comedy, because it is interesting that, you know, basically every single horror movie starts off with the scientists are getting ignored. And I kind of find that to be very true. Scientists are often ignored. But I do have to say one thing that bugs the shit out of me is the lead actor is always talking about the environment, but he doesn't actively practice what he's telling other people to do. And that is just a thorn in my side. And
Well,
if you're going to tell,
that makes it more real.
I know it makes it more real, but if you're telling people get an electric car, live sustainably, get off the grid, but don't look while I get on my private jet and my luxury yacht in St. Bart's, look away. That kind of ticks me off. And it's just a personal thing with me.
And that's okay.
I know it's okay. It's just one of those things. It's like, oh, can you just find that balance? Because we all have to find the balance.
But then you take it to the extreme of the people who are like saying, like, I've only thrown away everything that could fit into a mason jar for the past 2 months. Everything else is it's like, okay, well, good on you. Like, I don't buy it, but good on you. You know.
Yeah,
so it's
I saw that same documentary, and being female, no, everything
Being
didn't
human.
fit.
come on, like, no. But anyway, yeah.
It's not possible. But I mean, I understand the incentive that. Oh, Carrie wrote Pierce Brosnan driving through lava with his Jeep in that volcano movie. Oh, good Lord. So any geologist, and my friend Carrie's another geologist friend. Yeah, the volcano movie it's entertaining. I'll be honest. I watch it.
And that's what they are. It's entertainment. Like, don't look at this as a documentary.
Now, what are we going to do?
Neil deGrasse Tyson just called it a documentary. He just said this is a documentary.
Yeah.
And lastly, one of the things that I really want to touch on this year is this entire drought situation. What has this rain done for us? It's put a dent in it, but there are going to be some major laws coming down about water usage.
Oh yeah.
They've already started with it $5,000 if they catch you watering your lawn 2 days after
500.
It rains.
I think it's 500.
500?
500 or 5? Okay, well, either one of them, yeah. Which is common sense, makes sense stuff to us. But do we have to really go, military police style on people to get them to find their way? Yeah.
Sometimes. I mean, so, full disclosure, I'm a commissioner with the Department of Public Works in Beverly Hills, and there are people that waste water for their extensive lawns, and they get phone calls and visits frequently saying, hey, sorry to bother you again, but you're really using more water than you're supposed to. And like, oh yeah, sorry, we'll fix that. And they don't. And so there are repeat offenders who just don't care. Their lawn is more important. Their landscaping is more important. I mean, we just replaced our front lawn with rocks and desert style scape. So very water tolerant, or drought tolerant rather is the word.
I think part of the new water restrictions are stemming from, so Newsom asked California to reduce their water usage by 15%, and actually only went down 6%. So what's being proposed, and is part of it will be for watering your lawn, but it's also going to be using non-potable water to hose off your sidewalks, your driveways. So the watering the lawn is another issue. I mean, it's kind of, if this all comes together, it's going, but how are you going to monitor this?
You can't monitor it, and that's the problem. And the biggest issue is, like with the deluge that we had in the past couple of weeks in California. I mean, we got soaked.
Yeah.
All of that, or not all of it, but a large amount of that just ends up in the ocean because we don't have the proper capability to capture this water, this runoff. Whereas other countries, I mean, you look at Israel, you look at the Middle East, you look at Bermuda, they don't waste any water. Everything gets recycled, reused, and captured because they don't have. And Wendy Sugar Martin said, what about rain barrels? Yeah, we have rain barrels, but did you know, oh, I just learned this, and this will blow your mind. I believe it's the state of Colorado. You are not allowed to collect rainwater, and Colorado just burned up recently. You are not allowed to collect rainwater because apparently it's the people buy water rights. So any rainwater that comes down and soaks into the ground, someone technically owns that, so you can't capture it. I'm sorry, that's bullshit. That should not ever be happening. If it's raining outside, you should be able to collect that rain and use it for yourself. But it's already paid for by somebody.
I'll be interested to see, because I know they were talking, we weren't supposed to get much rain, we weren't supposed to get the snow, and now everything's slammed with snow. So when the snow melts, we're going to have the water from that. So I mean, it's like I'm waiting to see what happens. But I mean, speaking of Colorado, that was just the freakiest thing in the world to see that you have a fire one day and then it's put out by snow the next. Like, this world is making no freaking sense right now. I'm like, this is just mind-boggling. But the drought restrictions, it'll be interesting to see what actually gets passed and implemented and how it's enforced. That'll be the really weird part.
Well, we also passed the new garbage composting laws, where food waste now has to be composted, not thrown away. And that, I don't know how you monitor that or police that. I really don't.
Well, maybe if we just cut back on our portions, we won't have as much food waste, but that's just my opinion.
Hey,
as a landlord of apartment buildings, I, of course I want to be green and conscious, but I cringe to see how that manifests amongst tenants and, a lot of tenants at one time.
Yeah.
Does that manifest into rodents around the property? Yeah, they've got to come up with some really cool barrels or something for us to be able to implement a process and make it easy enough for very busy people who are not quite as interested in the environment to do the right thing. So that's just going to add more onto people's plates, such as myself.
Agreed.
Way to make it about you, Joy. Well,
I know. Me in a hazmat suit.
I do not see that happening.
Yeah, so we'll just have to see. Can you pay somebody to do that?
Yes.
Might be. Apparently, Seattle has mandatory composting for years. Well, Carrie's also ahead of the curve. She's been ahead of the environmental curve for a long time, so it was an easy transition, I can assume. But just finishing off, because this is a short episode today, because it is just us. Joel, you were going to end it out with, what do people want to hear from us in the future? Well,
I think you just kind of said it. There you go.
Well, you can do it better than I can.
So everybody who's watching right now, we've been doing this for a little over a year. Obviously, we've kind of talked a lot about various issues, but we would love to know what you want to talk about. What would you like to get more information on? What would you like to see this program become? I mean, we obviously have our own viewpoints. We try to address them as much as we can in a polite way, but we would love to hear your feedback and what you would like to see more of. What do you not like? What kind of guests would you like to see? If you know anybody who you think would be an awesome guest, let us know as well. I mean, I think this show is really about informing and educating people in a fun way. And so we would really love to get this feedback from you.
That's because primarily I've been focusing on energy and tech, and I understand that. This is my fault.
There is a new solar roof company coming out, which I saw them start to get a lot of press coverage in the past couple of days. It's a new solar tile company that is actually
tiles, good.
Yeah, so they're going to be able to do like their full roof and solar tiles, which will be at a much better price point than what's currently available, from what I'm being gathering.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, on that, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Our first episode of 2022. I keep having to say that to myself so I remember. We'll see y'all next week. I am forgetting who our next week guest is. We have a lot of people lined up. I mean, we have people backed up. I believe it's Mike Harrell, SoCal Gas. We're going to talk about hydrogen. Sorry, I know he was planned in advance. Hydrogen energy, I know. And then after that, Evan Harvey, NASDAQ, is coming back to join us. And then we have, I don't want to go too far in advance because I've been burned in the past where people had to do a last minute cancellation and then I'm left kind of hanging. So we do have some cool people. What?
It happens.
It happens. No, it totally happens. People have businesses to run and lives to go on. So I totally get it. But we have some cool people, including an expert in the job industry, talking about people transitioning from the petroleum world to the renewable energy world and how people can do that. And we're talking all levels of a career path. So I am personally excited about that because that's a social justice issue for me. So on that, guys, thank you so much. We will talk to you soon. And you guys have a
Let's
wonderful
make
day.
it a great year, everybody.
Take care.
Let's just get a good January. Let's just
Let's just get through January, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay.